New Year's Eve is a time that always promises big things, but rarely delivers. Resolutions are far easier to make than they are to keep, and the sloppy, drunken, sentimental scenes aren't any different from any of the other holidays, if maybe a little amplified by emotion as one year passes into the next. For me, though, one New Year's Eve was unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. To say the New Year's Eve I've experienced 5 years ago marked the end of my childhood, as I knew it might sound overly dramatic, like I'm auditioning for a part on Dr. Phil. But bear with me and I think you'll get it. I was 9 and my whole family, my mom, dad, my 3-year-old brother, and my sister who was 6 at the time, were spending New Year's Eve at the home of some old friends of my parents. They were super nice. As the evening wore on, the adults were all playing cards, and while everything seemed pretty tame, everyone seemed to be in good spirits too. My parents' friends had young children of their own, so my baby brother and sister had other kids to play with. I was kinda bored, mostly just drawing little sketches on my notepad. I must have been lost in one of my sketches, because, before I knew it, I was being herded into the kitchen so we could all count down to midnight, and then sing that weird old song that nobody knows all the words to, Auld Lang Syne. There were great vibes all around, and I was enjoying it as much as anybody. I didn't think anything could ruin that moment. It was around 1 a.m. that my dad disappeared with one of their friends, the wife. He said they were just going to her house, a few minutes away, to pick up a couple of things and that they'd be right back. It felt like a lot of time passed, but I was watching cartoons on TV, and I was so tired by this point that it's hard to say. All the younger kids were asleep on the couch behind me. It occurred to me that I hadn't seen my mom in a while, so I decided to get up and go look for her. I was getting kind of panicked. I had searched every room and even outside. It dawned on me. The basement! It made no sense, but it was worth a shot. Of course, like most kids my age, I was terrified of basements. And being in a house I'd never visited before only made the fear all the more paralyzing. As I opened the door, I saw that the lights were on, and I convinced myself to make my way down there. I was talking to myself with each step, whispering little words of encouragement. Okay, you got this. Just take that next step. As I edged closer, I heard the sound of footsteps. My heart skipped a beat, but realizing that it was probably Mom made everything easier. I trusted her more than anything. When I got down there and saw what I saw, I'm convinced my heart stopped. If only for a moment. I felt frozen and wanted to scream, but try as I might, no sound would come out. My fingers curled into my hands so tightly that they drew droplets from my palms. There was my mom and her friend's husband making out. I was so young and naive. I didn't even imagine my mom and dad being interested in making out after a certain point in life. As though adults just retired that side of them once enough responsibilities piled up. Saddest of all, when it came to my parents' relationship with each other, I guess that was true, but I could never have imagined such betrayal in my own family right before my eyes until I was face to face with it. I ran upstairs, crying hysterically. I threw myself onto the couch next to my siblings. All I could think to do was pray. I didn't even know who I was praying to. I've never been religious, but I suppose I was showing the sort of desperation you see in a plane crash Christian, because it felt like my world was suddenly cracked down the middle. Suddenly, I felt a cold and steadying hand on my shoulder. Through the glaze of my tears, I saw my mom. She had run after me all the way from the basement. She hugged me and told me she was so sorry, and to my own surprise, I didn't resist. I wasn't angry, just devastated. She talked to me for a while, but it all white noise to me. I already understood. She didn't love my dad anymore. After I finally managed to stop sobbing, she got up and walked out of the room. I went outside and wandered around like an aimless marionette. I wanted to run away, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I went back inside and cried some more. My father returned a little while later with his friend's wife, and it occurred to me that he could very well have been cheating on my mom too. There was no way of knowing, and I felt I couldn't be certain of anything anymore. As my dad tucked me into bed, he could see my eyes were crying and asked me what had happened. My mom had begged me not to tell him. The last thing I wanted to do was ruin their relationship completely. I told him nothing was wrong, that I'd just been overtired and emotional, and he laughed at that. I cried one more time that night, but I haven't cried again since. I feel cold and empty inside. I ask myself every day if I've done the right thing by keeping my mom's secret, because I can't help but think it must be better to be from a broken home than living in one.